Welcome to the world of 3D design. If you're here, it means something caught your attention. Maybe it was a hyper-realistic render that made you do a double take. Maybe it was a fly-through animation of a dream home that felt almost too real to be fake. Or maybe you've just always loved art, technology, and the idea of building something out of nothing. No matter how you got here, one thing's for sure. You're curious. You're looking into 3D design, and you're wondering, could this be for me? Let me tell you something honest. Not everyone who starts this journey finishes it, and not everyone who tries it falls in love with it. But if you have even the slightest bit of wonder in your mind, if the idea of turning your imagination into something real excites you, you owe it to yourself to try. Because this world, it's vast, it's creative, and it might just change the way you see everything. What is 3D design really? 3D design isn't just making models. It's not just architecture, not just games, not just shiny renders. It's imagination made visible. It's the ability to take an idea from your mind, whether it's a cozy cabin in the woods, a brutalist skyscraper, or a spaceship floating through an alien sky, and give it form, space, texture, and light. 3D design is used in architecture, yes, but it's also the foundation of film, animation, interior design, engineering, product visualization, and game development. Those immersive game worlds you explore, they started as blank 3D spaces. That architectural concept that sold $1 million build, someone rendered it with lighting, mood, and perspective to tell a story. This field is one of the few that merges creativity, storytelling, and technical skill all in one place. You don't just design things, you design experiences. You sculpt feelings. That's what makes it magical. But magic, as you know, takes work. The learning curve is real. Now, let's get real. Starting 3D design can be overwhelming. It will test your patience. It will test your attention to detail. It will test whether you're in it for the right reasons. The first time you open software like Blender, Cinema 4D, SketchUp, or 3ds Max, you might freeze. So many menus, so many buttons, so many things you don't understand. You may spend hours trying to do something simple, moving an object, applying a material, fixing a lighting issue, and nothing looks the way you imagined. YouTube tutorials help, but they often assume you already know a few basics, or they skip over the small stuff. And the small stuff? It matters. Sometimes your render will come out pitch black, or your shadows will look broken, or your scene crashes and you lose everything. And you might think, is this really for me? That's a fair question. Because 3D design has a steep learning curve. It combines math, art, physics, lighting, architecture, photography, even cinematography. You're learning 10 skills at once, and it can feel like you're progressing slowly. But here's what I know. The people who make it in 3D aren't the ones with the best tools or the fanciest rigs. They're the ones who don't quit. They push through confusion, through frustration, through failure. They keep going, and eventually, they break through. The breakthrough moment. There comes a moment where it all starts to click. Your first render won't be perfect. It might not even be good, but suddenly, the shadows feel right. The materials reflect light. The scene has atmosphere. The composition works. You start seeing things differently. You understand how sunlight hits a wall, how reflections behave on glass, how to direct the eye with contrast and shape. And one day you finish a project and you pause. You lean back, you stare at your screen, and you realize, I made this. It started with nothing, a blank 3D space, and now it feels real. That's the reward. Not likes, not followers, not money. The reward is knowing that something you imagined now exists. What you actually learn along the way, 3D design teaches you more than modeling. You start to understand architecture in a whole new way, how space is used, how light affects mood, how materials define texture and meaning. You gain photography skills just by setting up cameras in a scene. You learn lighting theory without ever picking up a studio light. You start to notice color palettes and understand why some things feel better to look at than others. Even game designers, animators, and filmmakers share the same foundations. Whether you're building a house, a forest, or a sci-fi corridor, you're designing spaces for people to feel something. You also learn about yourself. You learn patience, discipline, how to teach yourself when no one else can, how to keep going when things don't work. You also learn to respect the process. This is not a shortcut career. It's not instant success. It's long nights, slow growth, and a whole lot of trial and error. But every hour you put in, it shows. Your work gets better. Your ideas get stronger. Your execution becomes sharper. Your art only progresses. Is this right for you? Now let me be honest. I have a passion for this. I live for it. But you might not. And that's okay. If you're in this because it looks cool, or because someone told you it's easy money, you might struggle. If you expect fast results, or you don't like spending time alone, experimenting, problem solving, it might not be the right fit. But if you're the kind of person who gets excited about learning new things, who loves architecture, design, creativity, or games, who feels proud when they make something from scratch, then 3D design might be the best decision you ever make. You don't need a fancy degree or expensive software. Just curiosity, consistency, and imagination. So, here's your first step. Pick a tool. Blender is free. Start there. Watch beginner tutorials. Model something simple. A chair, a table, a tiny house. Then try lighting it, rendering it, making it feel real. It won't be perfect, but it will be yours. And once you realize you can bring something to life from your imagination, using only your ideas and your hands, you'll start to see the world differently. And you might just realize that this is what you were meant to do. Welcome to 3D design.